For today's lesson is how to find the exact value for trig ratios. So before we begin, I'm going to be talking about some important information we're going to need for finding the exact value. So first is SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA is used to find the sine, cosine, and tangent ratio of an angle in a right triangle. Reference angle. So any angle over 90 has a reference angle, and it helps determine the exact trig ratios when we're given an angle over 90 degrees. So it is the angle between terminal arm and the closest x-axis. CAS rule. So CAS rules helps us determine which trig ratios are positive in each quadrant. Here we have our special triangles. So our first example, we're going to have sine of 3 pi over 4. So in our Cartesian grid, we're just going to draw the angles of rotation. 3 pi over 2. Now if you convert pi over 2, it should equal, and pi should have 4 pi over 4. And now we know that 3 pi over 4 should somewhere in between those two. To find the exact ratio, we're going to relate it back to the x-axis. So 4 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, subtract 3 pi over 4. We're going to have pi over 4. Now if we look at this special triangle of pi over 4, it's 1, 1, and 2. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so opposite is 1 over hypotenuse, which is 2 hypotenuse. So now we know that sine of 3 pi over 4 is equal to the sine of 1 over root 2. If we fractionalize 1 over root 2, we're going to have root 2, root 4, which is 2. Now if we look at the CAS rule, 3 pi over 4 is in the second quadrant, so that means sine is positive. So this means that this answer is positive, so the exact ratio of sine of 3 pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. So for our second example, we have cos of 7 pi over 6, and in our Cartesian grid, we're just going to draw the... If we convert these angles, this should be 6 pi over 6, this should be 9 pi over 6. 7 pi over 6 should be around here, so it would be 8 pi over 6 here. So 7 pi over 6. Now, to find the exact ratio, we're going to relate it back to the x-axis. So 7 pi over 6 subtracts 6 pi over 6. We're going to have pi over 6. And if we look at our special triangle, this 6 pi over 6, we have 1, 2, 3. And we know cosine is adjacent. So adjacent root 3 over hypotenuse 2. Now, according to the CAS rule, since we're in the third quadrant where tan is the only positive, cosine would be negative. So now cos of 7 pi over 6 is equal to negative root 3 over 2. So we know that the exact ratio for cos of 7 pi over 6 is equal to the negative of root 3 over 2. Finding exact values in trigonometry is very important in space exploration and astronomy. Scientists and engineers use it to measure distances, angles, and paths of spacecraft, satellites, and planets. For example, they use trigonometry to find the position of planets or to guide spacecraft. These calculations help with understanding orbits, adjusting the paths of space missions, and figuring out the distance between Earth and other stars or planets.